We're going back to the Sega Master System for this game, simply called Black Belt. It's a 2D action game where you play as Chuck Norris, punching and kicking enemies who then blow up from the force of the attacks. You get to each boss of each stage and finish them off with an ultra combo, straight from Killer Instinct. Oh, for Oni, the fourth boss, you hit him so hard that he just vanishes into another dimension, leaving only his mask behind. When you get to the final boss and defeat Wang,
Giggity.
You go pick up your girlfriend and go off screen to a rousing victory. The end. Okay, that's the game in a nutshell, but I'm sure you want details. And I'm sad to say it, you don't actually get to play as Chuck Norris. Let me start from the beginning. You play as a guy named Ricky, who needs to pass through 6 stages to save his girlfriend, who is held by the gruesome Wang.
Giggity.
At least, that's what I can assume to be the story. I don't have the instruction manual, so I can only guess and piece things together. The first thing I notice is the uncanny similarity to another game. It's called Kung Fu on the NES, and it's an old game. They're very close to each other, but naturally, Black Belt has the upgraded graphics and exploding enemies. But hey, the connection's there, and I'm just pointing it out. The controls are very simple. Up jumps, down ducks, left and right move in the appropriate direction, and one of the buttons punches and the other kicks. Punching yields 200 points while kicking gives you 100. However, kicks have a larger range than the punches. While standing, punches do tend to hit faster than the kicks though. But if you crouch, the opposite is true. There's one other move you can perform, and that's the super jump. It took me some time to figure out, but it's simply down then up. It's almost like you're preparing the jump. This is pretty important though, as all the power-ups are found in the sky, and the super jump is the only maneuver that can successfully grab them. Other than that, the super jump isn't entirely useful. Also, the controls can be kinda stiff, and you'll notice this especially against the bosses, but I'll get more on that later. Speaking about power-ups, there's really only 2. One is food, which gives you a small portion of your health back. The other is a Japanese symbol, and I'm not even going to pretend that I know what it means. In the game, however, it gives you invulnerability, allowing you to just run through the stage and just reeky smash everything. This especially helps during the mini-bosses, who can get increasingly difficult as the game moves on. Now that I got the basics covered, let's move on to the layout of the stages. There's only 6, and the first 5 involve a linear walk from the left of the stage to the right, destroying anything that comes in contact with you. After that, there's a boss fight, where your health is regenerated in full. The 6th level features only the final boss, so there's no stage you need to walk through. The linear portions of the stage are very easy, minus the mini-bosses. Basically, at certain times the screen will stop scrolling, and you'll have to kill anything that's left. Then a tougher enemy will throw himself at you. All mini-bosses take 4 hits before defeat, and they vary in difficulty. For example, the first one you meet looks like a chef who throws meat cleavers at you. You can punch most projectiles that get thrown at you down, similar to Streets of Rage. Later bosses include guys with whips and bow stabs. The only one you'll probably really struggle with are these fuckers with flamethrowers. They're featured in the 5th level, and they're twins. Yet you need to fight them 3 times. These bastards are relentless, and constantly fire the balls of flame at you. If you jump at them, which is the best way to attack them, they'll usually super jump and shoot the fireballs at you, knocking you out of the sky. The best way to kill them is to corner one of them and just rush them to death. Or even better, grab an invulnerability power-up if possible. In fact, that just makes the game much, much easier. Without it, the mini-bosses can be pretty frustrating if you're not sure how to attack them. The regular enemies won't really cause you any real grief. Other than the 4th level, the enemies don't vary. In other words, Stage 1 enemies are all the same, Stage 2 enemies are identical, and so on. The 4th level features ninjas with swords, which is totally fair. You know, you're only kicking people and they get to use weapons. You also get birds pecking at you constantly. I don't know what you did to piss off these birds, but they are the most annoying feature of this stage. But other than that, it's not too bad either. Just be prepared to kick everyone in the face and you'll be fine. One more note before I move on to the bosses. Don't bother with crouch attacks, unless it's against the corner mini-boss. The range is reduced, and a lot of times you'll get punched in the head while you attempt to punch the enemy in the balls. So don't bother. Now, onto the bosses. As I mentioned before, you get your life refilled before every boss battle. And this is a good thing, because these bastards are unforgiving. It isn't necessarily that they're hard, although they are. I blame one thing for all my frustrations in this damn game. The fucking hit detection. It's just freaking awful. It's like the enemy can only be attacked at certain points. If they're doing their fast movement routine, they can't be hit, which is a total pain in the ass. They seem to have a longer attack range than you do too. Plus, Oni, Rita, and Wang
Giggity.
all must be finished in a special way. At least, I think Oni does, as I had to look up how to beat this bastard. But let me touch on each one really quick. The first boss, Ryu, is simple enough. He's weak to punches, so I just ended up jump kicking him in the face and then following up with a punch. Second boss is Hawk, who enjoys throwing boomerangs at you. Although, he's not very good at it because on the way back they just fall to the ground. Just super jump over them and you'll be fine. Plus, he's weak to kicks, so just nail him in the face a few times and he'll be a goner. Third is Gaita, a sumo wrestler. I used kicks against him as well. If you can get him to do his 3-hit combo routine, you can time jump kicks easily enough. Fourth is Oni, some guy with a mask. The only way I've ever been able to finish him off is to back off to the left side of the screen and just keep punching. If I attack him head on, he counters everything. Punching constantly will allow you to finish him with what looks to be a big goose egg in the health department. But hell, it worked. Fifth is Rita, who is a complete pain in the ass due to the fact that she needs to be hit with alternating strikes. For example, you can do a jump kick first, then a punch, then kick. If you do the same move over and over, she'll just block it and take no damage. The final hit must be when she does a jump kick though. Sixth is Wang.
Giggity.
And that's just a frickin' crapshoot on whether you'll defeat him or not. He once again seems to have a range advantage, and really enjoys to counter all of your attacks. He'll die only by a punch, but can take damage from everything else until his life bar gets to the end. The odd thing is that when the fight is over, he walks to the center of the screen and raises his arm in victory. Then, I have no idea. Ricky just walks past him casually to save his girlfriend. What the fuck kind of a finishing move is this? This is from the same game where each boss gets finished with a huge combo. Ryu gets his ass punched to death, Hawk gets a million kicks to the shins and face, Gaita gets fist palmed out of the ring, Oni disappears, Rita gets punched in midair a bunch of times, and Wang
Giggity.
just stands there? What the fuck? Anyway, once you save your better half, you get a small message saying that you defeated the boss and you can continue saving the world, yada yada yada. I just had to laugh at the rousing victory part. I'm sure there's something else rousing right now in Ricky's pants. One final note about the game is the music. I know it's an older game, but does it really need to have the same song repeated throughout each stage? You do get different music when invulnerable or fighting a boss, but that's it. Otherwise, you just get the same thing over and over and over. So that's about it. Thankfully, the game is short, completable in about 20 to 30 minutes, but it's still mundane, with the same music playing constantly and the same pattern going throughout each level. Punch this, kick that, kick this guy, finish this one, repeat. Thankfully, the bosses make the game a bit more interesting, but it's still frustrating the first few attempts because it feels like you just aren't doing enough damage when you know for certain you should be the one connecting with the hits. It's worth a play if you've never played Kung Fu, but me personally, I'd rather play the NES game. Although, the exploding enemies are pretty sweet. Final score? 6 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.